What is up to all of you Untitled 1 and Mekkah enthusiasts?
Hi.
We are bringing to you Chapter 17, my Fire Emblem 11 Hard 5 0% Girls playthrough. So according to the plot, this is the chapter in which Marth attempts to reclaim Altea, his homeland, and in Fire Emblem tradition we would expect normally kind of a big epic map, but this map is neither big nor really epic by extension. The throne room is really not that far away from the starting point, and for some reason the treasure room is farther away from the starting point than the throne room. And the treasure room contains a lot of treasures that unfortunately we're going to have to skip because of this design detail. On the throne is an enemy boss who looks like a Manakete, and he looks like the Manaketes that we've seen so far, but he is actually a bit different. He is a mage dragon instead of a fire dragon.
Wendell spotted this boss immediately and wanted to fight, but he decided to reclass to a edgy swordmaster. One reason is because Navarre, or edgy Myrmidon of this game, has decided to go cavalier and be a happy pony rider, so there was a distinct lack of edginess, and also because mage dragons cannot be touched by the magic that he uses as a bishop. So he goes swordmaster instead, and he gets a really strong Wyrmslayer forge, which is going to cost almost all of our money. But we need it because this boss is that hard to beat, and we're also going to need Palla to promote in order for the strategy to work, and give her a dragon shield while we're at it.
So I want to talk about the treasure room again for a moment. Among the treasure there is a warp staff, which is what we really want, and you might think at first that because the treasure room is so far away that warp staff will cost a lot of turns to obtain, but on this map there are two thieves that started out in the treasure room, and one way to sort of obtain some of the treasures without actually going all the way around is to let them loot a couple of them and then kill them to obtain the treasures. So these thieves, one of them will always loot the warp staff and another one will loot the devil sword. And so all we need to do is wait for them to grab the warp staff, and then we can kill them across the wall with our ballisticians. Our ballisticians are always going to be useful on turn 1 to chip away at the enemy mage with our forged aerospate, and that removes a potential threat because the enemy mage has Bolganone, and he can do potentially a lot of damage to our units with very little resistance.
Yeah, throne room is pretty tricky. We used barrier on Minerva on turn 1, because if we didn't, that swarm bishop, he will always move before the knight, unlike in chess. He's going to attack Wendell. If he had attacked Minerva instead, she would have been killed by the knight that follows up, but now thankfully she survives. And now we can spend our time getting all the side objectives in this chapter, such as killing these bishops for their droppable items. The fortify sells for a lot of money, and we need the VIP card in order to enter the secret shop, which is at the top of the map. And we're deploying some convoy tricks here just to be able to get these items to where we need them to be.
Right, actually every single one of these 3 side objectives requires us to employ the convoy warp trick at some point. And so we kill this thief to warp the warp staff back to the convoy. Sita warped her forged javelin back to the convoy, and then George is going to take her remaining items and also warp the VIP card back to the convoy. We need this to happen because some of the items need to be used in 2 places at once, and some of them need to be used like in a different spot from where they were originally obtained, namely the VIP card and the warp staff. So we used this trick a few times in this run, but this is the strategy in which the trick features the most, and which also is probably the most complex because there's like a warp use in the middle of a convoy trick in order for Marth to be perfectly positioned for Palla to take away the forged javelin and to chip away at the boss.
So that's all there's left for us to do is for Samson and Katria to gang up on that bishop for a little bit of EXP for Katria. And Wendell barely misses out on a 1-round KO on this boss. He needs like 4 extra damage, I believe. And Palla's able to do 5 with the boom spear. And Wendell can finish him off with 2 times 20 damage with that amazing Wyrmslayer forge that we're going to sell pretty much after this. And that leaves the room clear for Minerva to use the Wemmer card or the VIP card to enter the secret shop.
In this secret shop we need to buy a poleaxe, which is a weapon effective against enemies on horseback. Poleaxe was not in the original Fire Emblem game, so it's not really obtainable in this game aside from the secret shop or a guided chapter. Anyway, that's chapter 17 completed in 2 turns, so you'll see you next time.
See ya.